Hi, good evening, everyone. Tonight, we have a Finance Committee meeting and a City Council meeting on Monday, June 3rd, 2024. The budget, multiple departments are here tonight to discuss the budget. It'll be a long evening, so please have patience, and I hope everyone here respects the chamber tonight. I know there's a lot of issues that are on the agenda, but let's all work together. Thank you. With that, Jen, can you take the roll?
Counselor Ash. Counselor Kane. Counselor Campbell.
Present.
Counselor Devine.
Present.
Counselor DeBona.
Present.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Yang.
Present.
Counselor Mitten.
Present.
Chairman McCarthy.
Present.
7 members.
Thank you. Could you please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Also, before we begin, I'm just going to read the open meeting law. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. So the first department up tonight is the Education Department. I believe Mr. Mulvey, Ms. Perkins, and Mr. Mulaney are here. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. McCarthy, and it's great to see everyone tonight. Tonight presenting with me is Dr. Aaron Perkins, our Assistant Superintendent of Schools, as well as our Senior Director of Business Affairs, James Mulaney. I would just like to begin, obviously, thanking this body for the support that you've shown the Quincy Public Schools over many, many years. Tonight, we have some very exciting aspects of the budget, in particular, the opening of the Richard DeCristofaro Learning Center. This is our learning center for students with autism. We're extremely excited about this building opening in the summer, and will open for the first day of school in September as well for all of our pre-K through 8 students at the RDLC. Again, this project would not be possible without your support, and we're really grateful for not only that piece of our budget, but also all of our budget. We are happy to report that we are maintaining all of our staff and increasing our special education staff, of course, and other staff to cover the opening of the Richard DeCristofaro Learning Center. I also do want to thank the mayor and the school committee for their support. I know many members of this body are former school committee members as well, and you know how the process works for many, many years. But we have a very strong and supportive school committee and mayor, and we're very grateful for that. Tonight, we have a streamlined budget process for you. We will go over the budget process and all of the areas that we will be seeking funding for. And again, all of these areas will be outlined in the PowerPoint presentation that we've given to you tonight. Of course, the budget process begins by identifying areas of consideration for the SLT and for the school committee. Obviously, every year we organize options to address possible areas of impact. That's mainly done with the superintendent's leadership team. We prioritize possible areas of increase and shift. We determine the impact on budget lines, whether we shift, maintain, or ask for increases. We present options to the Quincy School Committee for their support. We present, of course, to the City Council, which is why we're here tonight. We have already presented this budget to the school committee 2 weeks ago. We, of course, prioritize options based on the Quincy School Committee's prioritization and their review of our budget recommendations, rework options, and, of course, then, with your support and the school committee support, we act on those options and implement the budget for the next coming school year. You'll see in the next slide that our budget for the Quincy Public Schools for the FY 2025 is $142,536,467. This represents a $7,896,823 increase from the FY 2024 budget. Funding for this budget comes from 3 main sources. of course, the mayor's appropriation of $134,186,467, a $6,646,823, or 5.21% increase from FY 2024's appropriation of $127,539,644. The projected circuit breaker funding, which is the next component of our budget, is in the amount of $7,350,000. This is an increase of $250,000 from the previous year. And of course, we have our remaining ESSER funds of $1 million to be used for the FY 2025 budget to maintain district operations. With that, I'll ask Mr. Mullaney to come to the podium and just review with you a summary of the preliminary level service budget for FY 2025. Mr. Mullaney?
Okay. Thank you very much. What we did, as we usually do, we look at the prior year's approved budget of $134,639,644 as our starting base. We add in our negotiated increases, which was $6,230,505. So in order to maintain everything that we have right now, with no increases or shifting, we'd need a budget of $140,870,149. We have three offsets to the total amount that we need: $7,350,000 for circuit breaker funding, ESSER 3 funding to maintain operations, $1 million. We're anticipating salary savings of $792,000. So that's a reduction in the amount needed of $9,142,000. So we'd need to maintain level services $131,728,149. The appropriation that the mayor has put before you is $134,186,467. So that leaves us with $2,458,318 to begin building our budget out for different areas, particularly the RDLC, which you'll hear about, and other areas of concern. What this budget allows us to do is maintain all our contractual obligations for the 2024-2025 school year, and it provides additional $2,513,598 for additional monies to be spent for class size, academic programs, academic support, non-academic support, and expenses. So, Dr. Perkins.
Thank you. Good evening. And so I'll be talking with you a little bit about the details of the budget. So you'll see here on this page that we will be decreasing in 2 academic classrooms this year. So I do want to just say we are not cutting any positions, which we are so fortunate, and we so appreciate your support and the school committee's support, because as many of you know, the surrounding communities many of them are laying off, and fortunately, we don't have to do that. So we are reallocating those positions to other areas within the budget, and as you'll see as we move forward, and we were able to do that because of shifts in enrollment. So although it says 2 decreases in academic classrooms, we are actually not cutting, we are just reallocating from retirements and things like that. So some of the shifts that we're making, so you'll see it at the top line there that there was a shift of 2 positions that was reconciled in the budget in a previous meeting. And then we are really focused on the Dr. Victor Cristofaro Learning Center, which, as the superintendent said, we are absolutely thrilled to be getting on board. And so we have an art teacher. So one of the requirements of the RDLC to have a school like that is that our students need to have access to art, music, and gym. And so we'll be hiring an art teacher. We are shifting, and this was the shift that I talked about a minute ago, shifting because of increase in enrollment in this area. Some of those academic positions will be shifting to EL positions, and so we are proposing to increase 3 EL teachers. And we have 2 literacy teachers. They're actually math interventionists in our budget. They're all under the same line that were currently paid for. We put very few positions in the ESSER funding, but this is 2 of the positions that were in there. So we're shifting those positions into our budget. We have a music teacher for the Dr. Victor Cristofaro Learning Center and adaptive physical education, and then an increase of 7 special education teachers to staff the RDLC, and 2 speech and language pathologists. And moving on to academic support, again, there's a shift in reconciliation that occurred earlier in the school year, and then also an increase for guidance at the Dr. Victor Cristofaro Learning Center, an additional nurse, 2 occupational therapists, and as I mentioned earlier, the services are extremely important, so making sure that we have things like speech, OT, PT are really important to that building and that population. Also, clerical support. Again, this was previously one of the few positions that was in our ESSER funding that we are now moving into the QPS budget. Those are 1.7 IT positions. 2 coordinators that were previously in the ESSER funding that we are moving into the Quincy Public Schools budget, and then the principal for the Dr. Victor Cristofaro Learning Center, that position, an increase of paraprofessionals for the classrooms at the RDLC, and also another position that was previously in ESSER that we're now moving into our budget is our 5 family liaisons, which we have to, I think all of us would agree, are absolutely instrumental and have been a huge help to us and our families. We are eliminating the special education work study line because that is a line that we haven't used in all of the time that I've been in Quincy Public Schools, and that's been a pretty long time at this point. And also eliminating funding for salary increases based on the reallocation that we no longer need. And now I'll turn it back over to Mr. Mullaney.
Thank you. For non-academic support, we're increasing 1.5 custodial staff for the RDLC. We're going to have a reduction in the total custodial line. We're going to be charging back $300,000 to the food service lines, the revolving account for the lunch and breakfast programs. We're increasing 1 security staff member for the RDLC. We had 3 other security staff positions that were ESSER funded during COVID for the RD, so we're putting those in the high schools. And we're going to be adding 2 lunch attendants for the RDLC. For academic expenses, we're going to decrease funding for translation services. This was a line we put in 2 years ago. We have found that we put $500,000 in the line, and historically, over the past 2 years, $300,000 has been sufficient, so we're reducing that. We're increasing supplies for the RDLC by $12,000, funding for text and learning for the RDLC, $7,500, and we're going to increase funding for software, $60,000 for the RDLC, and $120,500 for the regular budget. Then for non-academic expenses, these will all deal with the RDLC. We're putting a line in for natural gas of $41,400. We're increasing electricity, the RDLC, $65,000, and we're putting in telephone and internet for $12,000. So in summary, as you can see, there's the additional budgeted amount as well as the total funds available for the increase. So we're decreasing 2 academic teachers, increasing the 15 positions for academic programs. Academic support is 23.7 positions. Non-academic support is 7 positions. So it's a total of 44.2 positions for $458,318. The difference between those 2 line items would be the increase in the contractual amounts. And so that's the total increase of our budget over the prior years.
And I just want to talk a little bit more about the RDLC. Thank you, Mr. Mullaney. Thank you, Dr. Perkins. So the investment that you're making in the RDLC, primarily, of course, we're focused on the benefit to our students and families, creating a community within Quincy for our families who historically would have to be transported to an outside school, sometimes as much as an hour away. because of your support, we are now able to create a community within Quincy supporting our students from pre-K to 8 with various disabilities, primarily students with autism at the Learning Center. It really is a game changer. The state has contacted us, and Dr. Perkins and I have been giving tours to the state because this is something the state is looking at to be a model, perhaps throughout the state of Massachusetts. But in addition to the investment in our students, in our families, in making life more easy for our families and giving our students an excellent education at the RDLC, there's also the financial investment that's being made as well. We have at the moment probably 40 to 50 families who would normally be placed in an out-of-district placement, requiring transportation, requiring a school outside of Quincy. These families are now electing to stay in Quincy because they've done the tours of the RDLC. They've seen that this facility is a state-of-the-art facility, and they're so happy that Quincy is doing this for their families. They're staying, and we won't be paying necessarily the $80,000 to $100,000 per student in out-of-district placement. So you can do the math. If we have 50 students at $100,000 a student, it's $5 million. And that will just increase year after year after year. As we retain our students, we build this community and do what's very best for our students and families for this student population. So I just wanted to summarize that component of the RDLC. And again, this wouldn't be possible without your support, and we're super excited to make this happen within the next months to come, certainly in the summer and for a full start in September. So with that, thank you, and we appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent, Dr. Mr. Mullaney. Questions from the councilors? The chair recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see everybody tonight. Superintendent, Dr. Aaron Perkins, and Jim Mullaney. Thank you for coming in tonight and doing your presentation. Just looking at the numbers, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the Chapter 70 funding. You know, I talked to some of the state representatives, senators, that said just this year has been tough, and possibly next year could be tough. It affects us. What, compared to last year, what is the difference? Did you have to move any monies around or different positions? How did you guys go about doing that?
Well, as you know, the Chapter 70 money comes straight to the city, so it's part of the appropriation that comes to us. As you also know, they keep raising up the foundation budget for each city and town, and then they increase Chapter 70 funding based on a formula. Quincy only received $300,000 of additional funding. We got $30,000 per $30 per student, which is the state minimum. So it really was not helpful to the city or the schools at all.
I see, is it correct, 18 retirements coming up?
We're anticipating, yes.
Anticipating, you have any, possibly some over the summer that you don't know of, possibly?
Always one or two happens, but we're pretty solid number with that 18, if it's not more.
I got a number of 10,146. Is that the enrollment right now in Quincy Public Schools? Do you have an exact?
Right, it's between 10,100 and 10,200. So we say probably about 10,150 to be safe.
Quincy High School and North Quincy High School, what's the enrollment at each school right now?
We're at about 1,500 or so at each school. It's balanced out between both of the schools.
Wow, that has changed. When I went to Quincy High, it was 1,600 at Quincy High and 1,200 at North Quincy High. It was always a 400, 350 difference between each school, so it's evened out.
They're very balanced now.
Is North Quincy at capacity at 1,500?
We're getting close to that, yes. We are looking at curtailing open enrollment for that purpose just because of spacing needs.
We had some issues some years ago about possibly the kindergarten classes getting a little bit bigger over the years. How is that maintaining this year from last year?
Yeah, the kindergarten numbers are actually great this year, so we're doing really, really well. So we don't anticipate any issues.
So doesn't look like you'll make any consolidations of schools or anything, or any movements? Everything looks the same in each school?
At this point, there'll be no consolidations. You want to address?
Yeah, so we are, like, there are some schools that went down a little bit in enrollment and some schools that went up a little bit in enrollment. And so we are shuffling, positions. If someone retired, for instance, we'll move that open position over to the school that needs it. So we work with the principals and we look at the numbers and, we basically fill those. We were able to this year fill those holes or those needs with existing staff and positions. So we were very fortunate.
So the old Della Chiesa Early Childhood Center, do we no longer have purview over that, or how does that?
The school department will retain possession of that building, and the school committee and the mayor will be working to identify potential future uses for that. It could be an expanded pre-K center, it could be a kindergarten center, so we are looking at different options for that building, but it's our anticipation that the ECC will be retained by the school department.
Getting back to the Dr. Rick DeCristofaro Learning Center, the special education, what's the enrollment in that school right now? Are we going with 200, or?
It's a maximum of 350. We have 35 classrooms with no more than 10 students per classroom. We're not obviously at maximum yet. That brings up another good point in that if we do not reach a maximum capacity, we will have the option, as being a public day school, of potentially tuitioning students in from other towns of Randolph, Weymouth, Braintree. Dr. Perkins and I are obviously associated with the Socio-Educational Collaborative. We've already had a number of superintendents reaching out to us from the towns that I had mentioned, seeking to have their students enrolled at the RDLC because of the locale, and so that their students won't be on a bus for 45 minutes to an hour. They can have a short ride to Quincy. So that potentially could be an option as well. We will have room, but the building is built for 350 students.
So we'll provide for our students first, and if there's room, we'll pull from other towns or cities,
And then we would accept the tuition from those
accept their
towns.
tuition. And that's a key component to get some funding to come into the city and help us out.
Yes.
That's a good model. Obviously, we're going to look to get kids in after July, so it'll start the new fiscal year. Is that correct?
Yep, so the summer program, the pre-KK summer program will be running there this summer. And then the 1 to 8 students will be starting in September.
Okay, great. Those are all my questions. I'd like to make a motion to approve, and thank you so much for all your hard work and the whole department. Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilor DeVona to approve on the motion. Councilor Ash?
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent, Dr. Perkins, Mr. Mulvey. I appreciate the detailed breakdown. I just have a brief question with respect to the family liaison line items. I think it'd be maybe good just for people at home to hear what that position is and how it's being utilized in QPS right now, and then I'd have a follow-up.
Yeah, it's really an awesome position. So we have 5 full-time employees that they speak multiple languages: Cantonese, Mandarin, Spanish, Portuguese, so pretty much our main languages. They translate for families and both written and verbal communication. They also work with our central registration, which is where our families register, and they then work with those families to transition those students into our schools and make sure that the families understand, the educational system and understand how they can get involved, who they need to contact if they have a concern. They really become the bridge between the school and the families, and it's been really successful. They have, social media accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers at this point, and they really, and they do what we call parent academies. They teach families how to use Aspen. What does the report card mean? Why is my child getting a report card? How the special education process, how to translate things on the website, how to translate when you get a written communication, how to use our SMART platform. They go through that step by step with families so that families have, equal access to all aspects of their child's education. It's really been a very powerful position for us.
And that's what I've heard. I believe do you have 4 out of Coddington and 1 at Quincy High?
That's correct, yeah.
Are there any plans in the future maybe to have maybe a liaison that floats between the schools? I know I've certainly encountered at Clifford Marshall and Point Webster the need for some language access and language barriers at those schools. So I didn't know if there was maybe down the line, if there was a way to get the liaisons on a schedule to rotate through the schools for different needs, for different languages and whatnot.
Yeah, we can definitely, I mean, we do that to a point now. They spend a lot of time at the schools, but I think always it's an area that we're constantly looking at and monitoring to make sure, if we have the opportunity to be able to expand, they're really valuable positions. But I think, the staff that we have right now do an amazing job. And like an example, so for our summer program, we have it's called Bridge to Reading and Math. That's at Clifford Marshall. And so we have two of our family liaisons will be there the whole first week because it also houses our Camp Can Do program, which is our level 1 and 2 EL students. So they don't speak a lot of English, and a lot of them have never been to Clifford Marshall. And so just to make sure they know where they're going and that they have someone they can talk to, those family liaisons are stationed there that whole week to transition those students. So we do things like that, but we definitely can look at it and come up maybe with more of a schedule.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'd love to talk to you more about that. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Counselor. Chair recognizes Counselor Yang, then Counselor Devine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Superintendent Mulvey, Dr. Perkins, and Ms. Delaney. Hi. I just wanted to say thank you for your presentation this evening. It's always been thorough every single year, but I think it bears repeating that we should just give our thanks for it because this is the biggest part of our budget that we vote on every single year. And so just making sure that we're up to speed with what's going on and that we have the opportunity to ask questions, I think is something that, I just want to thank you for being here and doing that. I only have one question. Councilor Ash Ashley asked the other one. And so the question I had just goes back to the number of full-time employees for bus drivers. I know that we've talked in the past about trying to get folks to apply to this really important position. Obviously, right, getting our kids from and to school safely is really important. I know in the past we struggled to really try to get more folks in and more reliable folks in, and so I just wanted to see where we are with that. Are we getting up to the numbers that you'd like to see, or this is a good opportunity, I think, with the amount of people here and the people listening at home. Last time, I think we took an opportunity to say, like, hey, here's a call to action, right? Like, if you can, sign up to do this or apply to do this job, it's really important. And so, again, just are you where you want to be with those numbers, or should we try to get more folks to maybe come in and take on that job?
Service announcement opportunity. We always need more bus drivers and bus monitors. So we are currently still in negotiations with the bus drivers, and so that is that's basically protected in executive session right now because of the confidential aspects of the contract negotiations. Our goal is to reach a contract that makes the wages much more competitive, more so than any other city or town in the region, which will then allow for a greater attraction of either pulling bus drivers that may be interested in coming to Quincy, or just hiring novice bus drivers. As I said last year, and we continue to do it, we will provide the training and the funding for all the licensures, and we train in-house as well for anyone that may be interested in being a driver. But it's our hope that when we do finish negotiations, and we're hoping to have that wrapped up within the next 2 weeks to a month or so, that we will be the most competitive salary certainly in the South Shore, if not the state. So that's our
fantastic.
goal.
Great.
And hopefully that will then generate more and more bus drivers. We certainly need them. And we would probably, to get to pre-COVID numbers, we would probably need 10 more drivers.
Wow, okay.
So certainly tell anyone you know that may be interested in a great municipal job working for the Quincy Public Schools and working with our kids and being a bus driver. It's a great job. So
It is, yeah. And I think, I just want to acknowledge that, like, it might not sound like the most, like, fun, attractive thing to do, but we're talking about incredible services that you all are creating and providing for these kids in our city. And so we need to get the kids there, right? We need to get them there safely so they can take advantage of those services. And we rely heavily on our bus drivers and, like you said, our monitors to do that, right? And so, yeah, if folks are interested, how do they get involved? How do they get in touch?
They can contact any of us directly. They can contact the Quincy Public School Human Resource Office. They can email us via our website. So there's any number of ways. And obviously, feel free to contact any of us directly because, one bus driver for us can really make a difference with regard to scheduling, particularly when in any given day we could have, because of illness, 3, 4, 5 bus drivers out in a day, and we have to scramble to cover those routes.
Yeah.
So in that case, 1, 2, 3 bus drivers really help. So any additional bus drivers will be extremely helpful to the Quincy Public Schools.
Great, thank you. And the last thing I will say, this isn't a question, it's a compliment, and I think, again, it just bears repeating in these kinds of moments to acknowledge it, right? When you had said that you're decreasing the language access line item because you didn't need the funds, but then to, answer Councilor Ash's question, you talked about how these liaisons, the family liaisons, are actually multilingual. I mean, that is so creative, right? To sit there and say, we're not just checking a box and translating things and calling it a day. It's about really, how do we create a resource that's actually beneficial and useful, right? And I just know, sometimes, and even English, right? Like, you can send forms home, but if you don't understand it, it's really that human connection that helps to really make a difference, right? And so the fact that you said, you know what, it's not just about translating a piece of paper. We need to really connect with these parents. And how do we do that, right? We fund positions so that we have people who are actually talking to these parents and following up with them. I mean, that's incredible. And I think I've said this to you all before, right? But again, it's important to say that, these are kids who, maybe are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, who in the past would otherwise have to go home with papers like this and try to, 6, 7, 8 years old, say, let me explain this to my parents, right? And because you all, again, had this sort of foresight to say, how do we make this experience better for our students? There's now that family liaison that's doing that, right? So now the kid can just be a kid. I mean, that's incredible. So I wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. To see that change in the budget this year is huge, and I fully support the work that you all are doing. And that I think alone speaks for itself. So thank you so much for the work you all are doing. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Counselor. The chair recognizes Counselor Devine.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. Congratulations on your doctorate, Dr. Perkins. Great job. Just speaking about the buses, I just came up to, as it was mentioned, that was a great question, and I'm glad to hear that we're going to have some very competitive pricing on payroll. Children, I remember as a young child, that's the first face you see in the morning, and if you have a better qualified and person that's more engaging, which is what you're going to entice with a better pay, is huge, because that's the first person this child will see when they walk into the bus in the morning, and starts their day off well, which is important for a good day at school. I had a question about Della Chiesa. It'll be empty this summer, and will we be doing any work on the HVAC system?
I believe the city will be doing work on that system and just general repair work in the building.
Okay.
Preparing it for any potential future use by the
Sure.
Quincy Public Schools, either a pre-K center or a kindergarten center. Really, it depends on what the school committee would like to see that space used for.
Yeah, my children were pre-K there. They loved it. Any talk of a second story on that building, or is that a possibility?
We haven't discussed that, but certainly they're hearing that now, so that could be something that we could.
I don't know if it's feasible or not, but it could be something that we could maybe talk about. And then as far as the De Cristofaro School, it's great. Good topics that Councilor DeBona brought up. And when we get a certain amount of money, if we have students come from outside our district, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but some of these children, when they get to these schools, I think we delayed some of the Della Chiesa from going because these students become attached to their schedules. What would we do if we were at very high capacity and we accept somebody from Weymouth and Braintree, and then we need to bring one of our students in? I mean, I'd hate to think that we'd say, hey, you can't be here anymore.
Yeah, we definitely wouldn't. Our students take priority, so I think we would be very conservative right now on the number of students until we kind of figure that out.
Right.
So we do know right now, we know, obviously, we know who are our students that are out of district and who are our students and families who have kind of said to us, you know what, we're not quite ready yet to make that jump. We want to see how it goes. Let's give it some time, and, you know, we'll think about it and get back to you once the school opens.
Yeah.
So we know who those kiddos are, and so we would not give their
Sure.
spots away.
Yeah, I assumed you had a game plan. I was just curious. And, you know, I'm super excited too for the parents because you talked about them traveling miles to go there. Well, now they're closer to home, and if there's an issue, they're able to get faster, I believe. It seems like that would be the situation. So thank you very much for all your efforts and everything you do.
Thank you, Counselor. Just a quick chairman privilege, couple of comments. First of all, Kevin, yourself and the staff, Dr. Perkins, Jim Mulaney, the whole staff, when Rick DeCristofaro left, now like 4 years ago, we'll call it, and you came on board, we didn't miss a beat. You came in at a tough time during COVID. Quincy schools continued to perform, and the school system has just been a model across the board, elementary, middle, and both high schools, and all the programs that have been supported by the school and, of course, by the mayor. One of the, and I'm a frequent flyer to a lot of the schools that, you know, you mentioned that are going to be compared to the DeCristofaro Learning Center, like South Shore Collaborative and a few other places some of my kids have gone to have this in our backyard and have this as another tool in the toolbox. And I know a lot of folks that don't have special education needs, children, might not ever know anything about South Shore Collaborative. And there's a lot of folks that have kids that have needs that are both severe and needs that we can take care of here in Quincy. And to add that into the mix and have our own, as I say, kind of South Shore Collaborative right here in Quincy, well, people will see as it grows how impressive it is for the city and for the school system. A number of years ago, when I first was on the school committee, Mayor Phelan and I were looking at the Cerebral Palsy Center down there on Standish and tried to come up with a small version, but you couldn't do it without having the facility and the teachers, the staff, and everything that I see which I'm very pleased with in the budget that is loaded up for the RDLC. I had to get used to that RDLC. I didn't know what you were talking about at first. A little slow on the take. But then the mayor and Dr. DeCristofaro and, of course, his staff got together and put that together in the last couple of years and put together a state-of-the-art collaborative center that really benefit the kids of Quincy. So a big thank you from me. I know a big thank you from the council, a big thank you from the residents of Quincy. So with that, Councilor DeBona had made a motion. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Next up, Chief Joe Jackson, Fire Department.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, councilors.
Good evening, Chief.
Pleasure to be with you this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions about this year's fiscal budget.
Chair recognizes Councilor Harris.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this. It's very standard what we've been presented in front of us, so.
I have a
to
motion by
approve.
Councilor
And-
Harris.
And thank
Oh.
you, Chief, for all you and your folks do every single day out in the line. You have to have the right tools to save people, so
Indeed, thank you, Councilor.
this is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a motion by Councilor Harris to approve the Fire Department budget. On the motion, Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. Chief, thank you for coming in tonight. Thank you for all the hard work you guys done over the year. Just looking at the budgetary, it looks pretty straightforward. How are you doing on the overtime and stuff? Are you where you need to be, or?
Yeah, the overtime could be, it's underfunded, to be honest with you, but to What we would fund it to be honest, I don't know, because it's largely dependent on some of the injuries, as we've discussed before, and also, we're fresh off of a 3-year grant from the federal government that was paying a percentage of the salaries for 16 members. Through the grace of the mayor's office and the mayor and his office and the council, we were able to keep those 16 members on after the grant, the period of performance ran out. And also putting Ladder 4 into service last August, more manpower that's going to affect the overtime budget as well. So we're trying to see where things kind of level off. There's been a lot of stuff going on the job, as you know. It's a lot of good stuff, again, thanks to the mayor and his office and the council. But I don't know what the ask would be yet, but yes, it's underfunded.
Chief, how many firefighters do we have at this moment?
Uniformed personnel, I believe we're at 257. Firefighters are at 191. Lieutenants are at 45. Captains are at 15. 5 deputies and myself.
Okay. I just thank you for everything you guys do out there. I know it can be tough at times, and we appreciate everything that you guys do. I see Tom Bowes in the audience, the president of Local 792.
Appreciate their support tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for being up here. But yeah, thank you, Counselor.
And thank you for all the firefighters for everything you do. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilor Devine.
Good evening, Chief.
How you doing, Counselor?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I have a few questions. How are we doing with the projected plans for the addition at West Quincy?
That iron is certainly in the fire. Things are ongoing right now. As a matter of fact, Joe Shea might be able to speak more eloquently than I to that, but things are still moving along, certainly.
Okay, do you mind, is that something in your wheelhouse, Mr. Shea, or
Put you in the hot seat quick.
just briefly? You don't have to go into too much detail if that'd be okay.
Thank you. I'm Joseph Shea with Granite City Partners. We're the owner's project manager for the expansion of the West Quincy Fire Station. The concept design for the station is done. We're currently doing value engineering to add effectively a bay to the left side when you're looking at the station on the Miller Street side, for those who don't know, for additional apparatus and some rooms above. So we're in the concept stage with that now, and that's proceeding, Councilor.
Excellent. And I understand concept, but is there a very loose date or no?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. And then, Chief, I believe we have some fire trucks and ladder trucks ordered.
There's an engine on order and there's a ladder truck on order. The engine should be in January and the ladder truck should be in a year from this August.
Oh, that's fast. I was under the impression it was going to take longer.
Well, those aren't the ones, you're talking about the ones we most recently ordered.
Oh.
Those will be in about 4 years. These
Okay.
are ones that we put in for about 2.5 years ago. So unfortunately, in a post-COVID world, it takes about anywhere from 3 to 4.5 years to build a fire truck.
Right.
Prior to COVID happening, you could build a truck in 10 months.
Sure.
It's just not the case anymore, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, so.
Okay, yeah, so that's what my understanding of that time frame anyway, so it's no change, that's good. And then another question is, I see on our educational differential, we have some highly educated firefighters, which is great news, and I have concerns with the MBTA station that's going to be going in, and they're talking about having, electric buses. And what type of training will you guys need to get or have extra special? You're going to need to do something, clearly. I'm sure you have an anticipation on it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. We're actually in the process. As a matter of fact, Thursday, we had a fire at 95 West Squantum Street on the 3rd floor, and it was a lithium-ion battery. So we're in full discussion, putting together SOPs with best practices for these lithium-ion batteries. These are what power the world now. They're going to be more problematic as time goes on. They're not going away. But to your point, yeah, we are all over the lithium-ion thing. That's the new white whale for
Yeah, I
us.
have concerns for the safety of the environment, but mostly the people fighting it. And you're talking about a small lithium battery that you had?
No, I'm talking about, towing an electric vehicle to the battery that's in your cell phone.
No, I mean the fire you had the other day, was that?
It was a wheelchair.
Right, so I can only imagine what a bus would do.
Yeah. And this is another thing that we're looking at, is towing these vehicles away. As a matter of fact, Commissioner Grazioso and I, we have to get together to talk about where some of these cars or some of these batteries, the standard procedure right now is to overpack them in a drum, and there's a particular product called Cell Block that you will pour into the drum and cover these, the batteries. And you'd seal the drum and bring it probably down to like an isolated part of the DPW yard, or would have to identify a place in the city. One of the problems with these lithium-ion batteries is these damaged batteries that have been subject to fire, they've ignited 30 days later. It's just, they're just totally unpredictable. This gentleman who was in the unit at 95 West Squantum Street, he said as soon as he plugged the wheelchair in, it wasn't like a thermal runaway type of thing where it was just left in for too long. As soon as he plugged it in, it was the 4th of July in this guy's unit. It just started to self-destruct right in front of him. So it's very concerning to us. So.
It's very concerning also if the person's in a wheelchair, they would have difficulty mobilizing to get out of the unit. And foam, do you use foam for those, or?
No, strictly water. Foam, dry chemicals have been shown to be ineffective.
Right.
They can actually do more harm than good, just copious amounts of water right now.
Wow. So we're going to need some bigger fire hydrants down at the MBTA?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Counselor.
All set, Counselor? Any other comments? A motion made by Counselor Harris. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Counsel, for your support.
Deputy Chief D, thank you. Mr. McGowan, you have the podium. Human Resources. Motion to approve by Counsel DeBona. On the motion, any conversation? All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. We have health insurance. Motion to approve by Counsel Harris. On the motion? No conversation. All those in favor? Oh, Counsel DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on the health insurance real quick, how are we looking since, I know it's been some years since we moved over to Blue Cross Blue Shield. How's the increase from last year to this year?
Very good. We actually have a rate increase of 1.5%, which is the lowest that we've had since we've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield. In the past 2 years, last year we had a 4% increase. The year prior to that, we had a 9% increase. So our rates are based upon our claims experience, so that's a good indication of where we are and how good our relationship is with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
How long have we made the switch over from, was it GIC we had before we could pick the difference?
2018.
2018.
And just as a point of comparison, the average rate increase for the GIC plans this year is 9%.
We made a good move back then. I remember when we made that move, I was up here.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you for everything you do in your part.
All set? Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you very much. Health Commissioner's up. Molly?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh,
Dan?
I'm sorry, excuse me. Yeah, geez, I'm
Good evening, councilors.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Motion by Counsel Harris to approve. On the motion, Counsel Devine?
First, I'd like to say congratulations and good luck to Marley. I believe you're getting married. I don't know if it's commiseraries or, but I want to say congratulations.
Thank you, Counselor.
You're welcome. I hope if she's half as nice and a good person, you're a very lucky man then. But on your, at the health department, when I got on, we had about 50 of the traps that they count them and they're connected to the Wi-Fi. And we went up to, I think, about 75. And are we going to be buying more of those? And how are they working?
Yeah, so part of the things that we are requesting at the health department is pest control, which we've done for the second consecutive year now. The reason for that is we have a contract with Ladybug and Clancy Brothers who provide the services to single-family homes. We've worked with Modern Pest Control, which are the boxes that you're referring to. They use an alternative. They're not rodenticides, so it's safe for the environment. We get a lot of phone calls in House Neck, Germantown, even in the Squantum area about wildlife being affected by the rodenticide. So a couple of years ago, the mayor had asked let's find an alternative. And this has been the best solution, being used by several towns and cities in the state. It's going very well. Last I checked today, we have a total of 75 boxes, which we are looking to increase to 100 boxes for this upcoming fiscal year. And those boxes would be placed in more public areas, parks, and also the public schools to offer them somewhat of a protection from rodents entering the schools that we're protecting. And so to date, we have a total of 940 captures. Last year, we had about 711 captures. Last year, we had 50 boxes. This year, with 75.
900 catches. When you use poison, you don't know how many have been euthanized, I guess, by that. But with 900 catches, how many rodents would that keep from breeding?
So if you take a look at the amount of captures of 945, to be conservative, you'd have to multiply that by 6 or 7, which could take you over about 6,000 rodents off of the streets.
Very good. Thank you. I think they're a great asset to the city. I just envision kids poking dead rodents with sticks and things like that, and this keeps them off the parks and the schools. So I would be very excited to see more of them.
Yeah, and the best part is that they are tracked, so they do have a GPS on them.
Right, excellent. That's it, thank you.
All set, Counselor? Counselor Ash?
Thank you. Commissioner, thank you. Thank you for coming before us and for the budget. I almost feel bad because my question is going to be related to pest control too, and I know that you do so much more than that. But we're seeing as the construction occurs, one of the ramifications of the construction is rodents and pests in the neighborhoods, and one of the primary areas that I'm experiencing that with my constituents is in the Lawn, Witten, and Avalon Ave area of Quincy Point, behind Dairy Queen, I guess, for those who aren't intimately familiar with it. Those are almost every house on those streets are 2 families, and I know that the particular grant that the city has is for, I believe it's owner-occupied single-family homes, correct?
Correct.
But are you able to still treat those areas, even though they're often multifamilies? And is there a caveat, I guess, if they're owner-occupied multifamilies?
So we do have a couple of the modern pest control boxes up at Witten Park. Last I checked, I think we have a total of 15 captures this fiscal year. In regards to baiting multifamily homes, it's a little difficult. We're trying to do the best that we can. We've updated the criteria in a way to accommodate for owner-occupied multifamily properties the best that we can. But again, in order to provide the service, we need to find evidence of rodents on the property, and the best evidence is burrows on the property.
Thank you.
All set, Counselor? Counselor Yang?
This is now just a super random question, Mr. Chairman, if I could, because there's so much talk about rodent control, right? I understand, I think Councilor Ash, you bring up a good point. A lot of this construction, right, across the entire city can contribute to this. It's not the sole reason why. I know in the past, we've talked about other companies like National Grid, et cetera, coming in and doing road work and or some type of like construction type work on our roads. And thankfully, we have an incredible head of our DPW who said, if you're going to come in and do work in our city and it has a large impact, specifically a financial impact, you need to work with us to, create some mediation. So is there any part of, conversations that you have with folks when you're looking at trying to solve an issue, right, in this city that's not entirely created by folks within the city, but it's created by outside factors? I mean, is that something that we can entertain, is see, can these other companies or, other large construction that's coming in from other companies as well, could we make sure that they're accountable for mediation for these kinds of things? Because you're just running around fixing it, and that's great, and I'm not knocking the work you're doing. I just think that you deserve some support, I think, financially and just planning-wise, right, to address this problem.
Yeah, so I think Al's been doing a great job working with National Grid to have the sewers and the lines when they dig up the roads with pest control. And Rob Conlon from Inspectional Services have been working with the construction companies. We've put parameters in place that they do need to have rodent control on site throughout the whole entire project. We've updated it this year that they need to have boxes spread out every 40 feet. The recommendation typically is around 60 to 100 feet. We've done more than that.
Great.
And so we're not seeing as much activity on the construction side, but the moment that there's a demo or construction, we're doing outreach to try and get to the neighbors as soon as possible before the rodents on the ground of that construction site go to the properties.
Great.
So it's all about it's all about the outreach. I think
Absolutely.
the outreach is the most important thing.
Yeah, no, but the short answer I'm taking away from this is that you're already on top of getting them to contribute to fixing a problem they're causing. So, nope, that's all I want to know. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Solutions. Thank you. All set, any other comments? A motion made by Councilor Harris, all those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Thanks, Molly.
Thank you, councilors, for your support.
Thank you. And good luck. Tourism's up, Dagny, and before Dagny come up to the podium, I know Mr. Walker wants to say a few words.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, before Dagny discusses the overall tourism budget, I wanted to highlight for the council's purposes an addition. Again, as is everything in the tourism budget, it's offset by the hotel motel tax. Over the last number of years, we've had a great partnership with the Quincy Historical Society, and we've used money from the hotel motel tax fund via the budget to fund the Historic Society. The change that you see in this budget is that there's going to be a new executive director in the near term, and under this proposal, the executive director, as opposed to us being sort of the middleman, providing the funding, and the Historic Society then being the employer, under this scenario, again, funded through the hotel motel tax, the Historical Society executive director will be funded as a city employee. That was a policy decision made at the mayor's level, and Dagny obviously does a terrific job at the ground level, but I just wanted to pass that along to the council before Dagny got started. Thank you.
Walker, before? Motion approved by Councilor DeBona. Any questions from the councilors? Councilor Devine.
Question, I just wanted to say thank you very much because, you know, when we're out, I walk around and I meet people and you see them looking around and I ask where they're from, and you have people coming all over from everywhere, Minnesota and Florida, you name it, you'll find somebody from somewhere. And so I think it's very good. It makes us a lot of money. We do very well with our tourism, which helps keep our city clean and funded. So thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilor Campbell.
Thank you so much for your time here today. Just a quick question on the Quincy 400 preparation. I know we're going to be talking about it probably a little bit later on, but is there a buzz out there right now? Is there a way we're going to capture it? And are there plans for like any type of social media efforts or whatever? What do you have planned, I guess, for that?
Yes, there has been a buzz for that for quite a while. In the tourism industry, we plan 18 to 24 months in advance. So for the last FY23 and FY24, I've been talking about Quincy 400. So I'll be a part of the Quincy 400 efforts when they're organizing coordinators and meetings, and I'll be a part of all of that, those conversations with marketing, social media, so forth, moving forward. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We're excited about that, especially promoting it at our new Quincy Welcome Center that's set to be open next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? The motion by Councilor DeBona to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Downtown District. Mary Cahill. Motion approved by Councilor DeBona. On the motion, any questions? On the motion, Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mary, good to see you tonight. Listen, I just want to talk about outside this area. This is Hancock Adams Common. It's beautiful. It's to see the fountains. I see the police officers out there patrolling it correctly on the bikes. People really enjoy this. I talk to people outside the city, and all they talk about is this. what have you done to Quincy? And I know a few years ago, we had some difficulty up here with getting the proper coverage to maintain the maintenance of the downtown. It is our bread and butter. This is it. So I just want to say thank you to the councilors. We approved it a few years ago for the proper help here, and it's really flourished. And I just want to say you're doing a great job, and it looks beautiful out there. I'm proud to say I'm from Quincy that I could look outside there, and during the wintertime with the lights and the trees, and it's just beautiful. So it's such a revitalization, and it's just our gateway to our city. So thank you for everything, and thank to the whole crew and everybody else, because it makes a difference. Thank you.
So we have a motion by Councilor DeBona to approve. On the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mary. I'm going to do one more before I break to open up the council meeting. Inspectional services, Rob? Motion to approve by Councilor Campbell. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
Rob Conlon, Director of Inspectional Services, and I'm pretty much here to answer any questions.
You're done. You're done.
That's it?
You're done. I'll see you in the morning. I got a whole list, Rob. With that, I'll recess. I'll recess at 7:30. The finance meeting will open up the city council meeting. I'd like to open the city council meeting June 6th, 2024. Call the roll, please, Jen. Sorry, call the roll, Dick.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell.
Present.
Counselor Devine.
Present.
Counselor DeBona.
Present.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang.
Present.
Counselor McCarthy.
Present.
Counselor Minton.
Present.
President Kane. 8 members, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we all stand for a second for a moment of silence? Tonight, I'd like the moment of silence for two things. First, there were 7 police officers that got sworn in this afternoon. I believe 5 going to the academy, 2 transfers into Quincy Police. First, I'd like to keep them in our prayers and thoughts as they head out on a career here in Quincy as first responders. That's number one. And number two, we've had a lot of folks that are either ill. Seem like we've had a run on young folks that are getting sick, either with cancer, and we have a lot of people that are middle-aged that are coming down with different things, different diseases, and of course, folks that have passed. So please keep all those folks in your prayers and thoughts. Thank you. Can we turn and do a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You want to read the open meeting law?
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you. Please, first item on the agenda.
Number 1, 2024-056, ordinance amending municipal code, Chapter 72, Article 1, Job classification and salary, Section 72-1, official salary schedule, city councilors.
Chair recognizes Councilor Devine.
Motion to move that to finance.
We got a motion to move to finance. Do I have a second? Second by Councilor Vaughn. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. Second item.
2024-058, an appropriation for $4,738,500 from community preservation, historic, and recreation projects.
Chair recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee. I've been served now in my 9th year being the representative from the city council. I want to thank our chairman, Larry Liuzzo, Cole Berry, John Brennahan, Connie Driscoll, Elaine O'Donnell, Kristen Powers, and Tony Ritchie. Also like to thank our administrator that's done a great job this past year, Karen O'Toole. She's done a great job with these things. One big item on there that I'd like to highlight a little bit is the affordable housing. I know some few years ago, some former fellow colleagues would be upset that we didn't do anything for the affordable housing. And this year, we have a nice project, the Seth Spear Estate Site, which is on Spear Street. And this is going to be a $1.5 million in our affordable housing bucket of the Community Preservation Act. And it's going to provide, the goal is these units, choices, are including 2 wheelchair accessible units. And it's in the downtown location in the modern amenities. And it abuts the back of the Thomas Crane Library where the parking lot is. It's a beautiful facility, and we're looking forward to the build out of this. So I just wanted to highlight that. I know a few years ago, we don't get applications for affordable housing, but this particular year we do. So we do that. So we had a lot of great projects across the city, and I want to thank you for everybody that was involved in it. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the 4.738500. I want to make that in the form of motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second by Counselor Devine. All those in favor?
Nope.
Aye. Roll call.
Oh.
Roll call.
Counselor Ash.
Yes.
Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Yes. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. Yes. 8 members. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 4 on the agenda, Madam Clerk.
Number 3, actually.
Number 3 on the agenda.
Number 3 on the agenda, I'm sorry.
2024-059, an appropriation for $1 million for preliminary work for the new Squantum Elementary School.
We have to refer to finance.
Do we have to refer to finance?
Yeah.
So we will.
So I'll get a motion to refer to finance by Counselor Harris and a second by Counselor DeBona. All those in favor? On the motion?
Yes, on the motion, so this is going to, my question is, this is going to make sure that it goes through before the summer happens, because that's what's really important, because there's a lot of great aspects to the money that we're going to be asking. I hope that when we do go in front of this, when it goes in front of the Finance Committee and then comes up to us again.
So it'll be next meeting, we'll advertise, come back.
Absolutely, and we'll come back, right? Yeah. But what I'm saying, Councilor McCarthy, is that I just want to, I'll start plugging it, so I plug it again and I don't have to maybe take so much time, okay? Because it's very important, this to my ward. So, thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4?
2024-060, an appropriation for $320,000 MSBA Montclair Elementary roof replacement project.
Refer to finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to refer that to finance.
Thank you. And a second?
Motion.
Do I have a second on that? Second by Counselor Campbell. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it.
Number 5, 2024-061, an appropriation for $4,676,000 to Water Enterprise Stabilization Fund from water free cash retained earnings.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve? Motion approved by Counselor DeBona, seconded by? Do I have a second? Second by Counselor Devine. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor
Madam
Ash.
Clerk.
Yes. Counselor Campbell. Yes. Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton.
Yes.
8 members.
Thank you.
Number 6,
Number 6.
2024-062, an appropriation for $4,676,000 for Water Enterprise Stabilization Fund to Water Enterprise Fund.
Mr. Chairman?
Counselor DeBona?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor DeBona, second by Counselor Devine. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Ash. Yes. Counselor Campbell. Yes. Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona. Yes. Counselor Harris. Yes. Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. Yes. 8 members.
Thank you. Number 7.
2024-063, an order amendment to tax incremental finance agreement, Granite Telecommunications Corp., Fox Rock Heritage, One Realty LLC, 61 Heritage Drive.
Motion made by Counselor Yang to move to ordinance. Do I have a second? Second by Counselor DeBona. All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, Counselor. Number 8.
2024-064, gift for $250 from Table 9 Hospitality Assembly for Deer.
Motion to approve by Counselor DeMona, second by Counselor Harris. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Ash. Yes. Counselor Campbell. Yes. Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona. Yes. Counselor Harris. Yes. Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. Yes. 8 members.
Thank you. Approval of previous meeting minutes. Motion to approve. Motion approved by Counselor DeMona. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we will leave the council meeting, go back to the finance meeting, if I could. So I'll adjourn the council meeting at 7:40. Now reopen the Finance Committee meeting at 7:41. Mr. Al Grazioso, DPW Commissioner, who has a few.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow councilors. Before we get into the budget, I just want to introduce my DPW team, management team, and acknowledge them along with all the men and women of DPW for the fine work they do in a professional and efficient manner for the residents of Quincy. I'm extremely proud of their hard work. With us tonight are City Engineer Paul Costello, Superintendent Larry Prendeville, Operations Manager Mike Norton, Program Manager Tom Henry, and we have our bookkeeper, Katie McDonough, who stepped in with the absence of our business manager, did a great job preparing this budget, so I want to acknowledge her. We're here to answer any questions you may have on the budget.
Motion?
Motion to approve by Counselor Harris on the engineering budget. And Counselor Harris, you have the floor.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's really, really close to, last year. And of course, there's always contractual situations. So, motion to approve.
All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Public Works is up next. Thanks. Thank you.
Public Works, our highway budget increased by $79,376. This is due to a request to increase our transportation line by $50,000. That's fuel, and we're just, just protecting against huge increases in the fuel nationally. Our personal lines increased by $39,375 due to contractual obligations and allocation adjustments. And we decreased by $10,000 a software license line. We reallocated that to our engineering department.
Motion approved by Counselor Harris. On the motion.
On the motion.
Counselor Harris.
Al, thank you. Your team is and this budget that you presented to us for what all you folks do from everything from, I know we're going to get to some of the other stuff, but if I mention it now, I'll just get it over with. All facets of what DPW does, and I don't think there's a counselor up here that when you get a phone call, your group reacts immediately, and we usually get everything done pretty much that we can do and we're able to do. I thank you and your team that are here and the team that is at home because they worked all hard. Everybody works under you that worked hard all day long to make sure that, this city it's people envy coming to the city. And one of the reasons that happens is we have a very competent Public Works Department. And I think that says a lot to the administration and to yourself. So thank you.
Thank you, Council, for the kind words.
On the motion, Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, good to see you tonight. Thank you for everything you do. Just to talk, I thank you for all your hard work over the year and helping me out. I know when I call you, sometimes it's at 9:30 at night, and you'll say, I'll go take care of it, take a look at it in the morning, so thank you so much. Just a little bit on the Chapter 90 funding. What did we have this past year? We were at maybe 1.9 million?
It's just a little bit under 1.9 million, 1.892, something like that.
And
It's been the same number pretty much since, I think, 2012.
so it's been the same.
Yeah.
Now, I know we in our CIP, our capital improvement plan, we've been piggybacking and funneling into, how are we doing on the roads and sidewalks? I know it's been an aggressive roads and sidewalks throughout the city, and you guys have done a fantastic job. I mean, what we've come from before, I've been on the council now for a while, we first appropriated that $100 million for the roads and sidewalks. How are we doing this year?
We're doing well. This year, we're going to redo about 38 roads. A number of those are main roads, though, which are very tough. We just finished Quincy Ave, finally. I'm sure Council Rash is happy with that. It's been a long haul. We'll be doing parts of Hancock Street this year. We're doing Billings Road. We have a number of other main streets on our list. We're also doing another 30 roads of water main, another 111 roads of sewer lining and open cut. So it's very aggressive. We're running into the same problems that, private industry is running into, supplies, help. Some of the contractors are struggling to get, curbing and those issues. So it's been a little bit of a slow start, but we're pushing.
How are we doing working with Mass DOT on the C Street project? I see a lot of work being done.
We're doing well. We have, one of the issues out there is National Grid's in there also, and they've actually slowed the project up a little bit. They have to replace the entire main on that road. So trying to work together with both the state, Belly is a contractor, and National Grid, and it's a big job.
I've been seeing some work on Furnace Brook. I think that's state. Is that correct?
Furnace Brook is, again, that's part of the National Grid 115 line, electrical line replacement that went from North Quincy all the way down Newport Ave, Furnace Brook Parkway, Southern Artery, and finishes at Field Street. They've already replaced, they've already replaced and put in the new line. They're taking out the old one right now. We in Quincy are also doing water main in that road where we need to, parts of Furnace Brook Parkway. We finished part of that, and then we're coming up Southern Artery. National Grid also went in there. When that's done, National Grid will come in, and they're going to pave all those roads.
Thank you for kind of explaining, because a lot of folks in the city, they don't understand the procedure, and we have a, some of our state-owned and...
It was supposed to be a 4-year project. We're actually ahead on that project. Again, the final push will be the paving aspect, and that's, National Grid has agreed to pave those roads, pay for that, and it's a very large job. So we'll be doing that in increments. Hopefully by the end of this year or the beginning of next year, they'll start that paving.
You do a really good job with your algorithm on how to figure out which streets to do for all this stuff, and the infrastructure is so important. I think people forget that we're an old city. It's old under there. So thank you for all your hard work. I'm very happy to support this budget for Public Works. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you to your team as well. That's out there in the audience and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, reiterating everything my colleague said, the number of times that I'll text you or call you and just say, hey, this constituent reached out. I know it's not you that is doing this, but can you direct me to somebody in your department so I can follow the right channels? And you're like, no, I'll take care of it. Tell me, who the constituent is and where they live, and I'll go. And I'm like, no, but you have systems. Like, let's follow the systems. And it's because you're that kind of person, right? That you're just like, look, let's let's not worry about it. Let's just get this thing resolved for whoever needs it. And so I think it's just exceptionally impressive what you and your team do. I mean, you all get it done seamlessly, and I really appreciate it. And, just again, taking the opportunity for a PSA moment, right? You have a system in place that takes a look at the roads, the sidewalks, all of the infrastructure. There is actually a formula that then, puts out a number, and then that percentage is how you, go through and say, this is how we're going to address it, right? Because you can't fix the whole city overnight, but you need a system and you have a solid one in place. And so if folks are curious about their particular address or, their street, and they just want to see like, hey, where are we on that list, just so that they can follow in line with, what's going on, where would you recommend that they look?
They can just call us.
They can call you. Yeah. It's
phone
easy.
call, Will.
Make it easy. All right, great. So they just call DPW and say, this is the address. Where are we on that list to get our sidewalk repaired and or our roads? And then you'll just be able to tell them like, this is a year out, 2.5 year out, et cetera. Nice and easy. Great. Okay. So we get a lot of those inquiries. And so I know the information's available. I want to make sure they get access to it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Counselor.
Anyone else? So we have motion by Counselor Ash.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's been an eventful first half of the year with you, so I just want to say thank you. We have had private issues together, public, we did trees and guardrails and Quincy Ave, and just thank you for all the support and for letting me advocate for my constituents and for getting stuff done for them. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. So a motion made by Counselor Harris. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Snow and ice removal. Motion to approve. Any talk about snow and ice? You want to talk about snow and ice?
I do.
I can't wait to vote.
Thank you. No, just to elaborate just a little bit, Commissioner, how important it is for the liability purposes. Even when there's a little dusting out there, you got to go out and you got to treat the roads. And I think people forget, even though there wasn't a ton of snow, you still have to treat the roads. So thank you for all your hard work with that budget, and looking forward to it. So that's it.
I think I got a motion by Counselor Ash. I got a whole bunch of motions on that one over there.
Yeah, give it to him.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
Give it to him.
So I get a motion by Counselor Ash.
motion to approve.
Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed, the ayes have it. Collection and disposal. Motion approved by Counselor Devine. On the motion, Counselor Devine.
I'd just like to make mention to our constituents out there that the mattresses are, they've been a very big problem, and your department, Tom Henry's been very good at that. You've been getting out there, scooping them up, and you're doing it so fast, I don't think people realize how much a blight it's and how much it's costing us, because they're all over the place. But you're excelling at it, so they don't see it, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. So you're doing your job so well in all these other aspects that people don't realize how well you do your job. So thank you to everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
All set. Counselor Ash.
Commissioner, this week in particular, I've noticed an influx of issues with capital waste pickup. I don't know if your office has received those calls. I don't know if there's just a misstep or if the truth lies there and somewhere in the middle, but it seems like there's been some collection issues over the last week. I don't know if you can speak to that, or if Mr. Henry would like to speak to that, or not that I want you to throw it. I just he's been great. He's gone to every house that I've pinged him on.
There hasn't been anything out of the ordinary
Okay.
this week. We get a lot of normal calls, but Tom usually comes to me if there's a problem or, something out of the ordinary, more calls than usual.
And Tom's been great. I've noticed more of them come in. They are rectified immediately, of course, but I didn't know if you were experiencing that internally as well, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. So we have a motion by Counselor Devine. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Now, the Drain Department. Motion to approve by Counsel DeBona. On the motion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Sewer Enterprise, L. Motion approved by Counsel DeBona. On the motion? No comments on the motion. All those in favor? The ayes have it. And Water Enterprise Account. Motion approved by Counsel DeBona. On the motion? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Thank you to for all your support for our department. It is well appreciated. And once again, thanks to my team. They're fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. I'd like to recognize Mr. Walker as Michelle approaches the podium. Mr. Walker, you have the floor.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, similar to the tourism department budget, there's a minor change that was reflective prior to, obviously, Michelle taking the position. Actually, it was because Michelle is taking the position. When we had developed this budget, we had dropped, the position was open, and we had dropped the salary for the executive director's position down to the lower range and the department head range for that position. We're lucky enough that Michelle accepted the position at the mayor's request. Michelle Hanley, who's with you tonight, based on that, we put it back to what it would have been under the more experienced level under the previous director. So we just basically switched a reduction back to what it was originally under the salary line. And you have a fresh copy of that budget in front of you tonight, but that is the only substantive change in that budget.
Motion approved by Councilor Harris. On the motion, any conversation? Just congratulations, Michelle. I know you're very familiar, the Council on Aging, so I think it's a great pick, and I'm glad you were able to step up. With that,
Just a point of clarification, we have to accept the amendment before we can move forward.
Vote on the increase.
We have to accept the amendment, the change that they made.
It's increasing by the 7,308, so we got to vote on that first.
There's a $7,000 increase.
oh, on the budget itself.
Yeah, we have to accept that.
Motion to approve the amendment.
Yeah, the amendment is, so a motion to approve the amendment on the budget. Any conversation on approving the amendment that Mr. Walker just talked about that I forgot about? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thanks, Michelle.
Motion to approve as amended.
Yeah, we have to do it.
Motion to approve as amended. Councilor Devine.
I'm sure you're going to do a great job, and Recreation's going to miss you. I'm sure, right?
Thank you, sir.
So good luck.
Thank you, Counselor.
So we have a motion by Councilor Harris as amended for the Council on Aging, and all those in favor say aye. And on the motion now, we have Councilor Yang. Can't get out of it.
I want to make sure to give gratitude when it's needed. I've seen a lot of the work that you've done in recreation, particularly within, the Asian American community, where they're trying to just bring kids to these events that you create. And I've seen you try to communicate directly with parents who don't speak English, and like the poise and the patience and just like the way that you go about engaging with residents in the city, just to make sure that at the end of the day, everyone is safe and enjoying what it is that they need to enjoy. I think that's going to be so important in this role, right? Because now we're talking about the senior community who in so many ways can't speak up for themselves. And so to have you at the helm, I think is just the perfect fit for something like this. I've seen you in action. You're very impressive. And I know the atmosphere that you're going to create is going to be just as impressive. So thank you for stepping up and doing this. And I'm excited to support this with you at the helm. I really am.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On the amended motion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, and the ayes have it. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next up, Mr. Walker, the Mayor's Department.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this is the level service budget.
By Councilor Harris to approve.
Not those ways.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand.
Okay.
No. Oh, never mind. It's level budgeted, what we're being presented. That's all I was going to say, Mr. Walker. So sit back, relax, will you? Thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed, and the ayes have it. Celebrations, Mr. Walker.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this is level funded. I think the body knows this account funds a number of different celebrations throughout the city over the course of the year: the Christmas parade, the Flag Day parade, August Moon, Lunar New Year, a whole litany of stuff throughout the year, and we've built it up over the last several years, and we're pretty comfortable where it is right now.
Motion by Councilor Devine to approve. On the motion, all those in favor? Aye, and the ayes have it. Mr. Walker also has the Substance Abuse Prevention Department.
I do. Through you, Mr. Chairman, this is level service
Motion to
budget.
approve by Councilor Harris. Any comments on that department from councilors? No. All those in favor? Opposed? And the ayes have it. Last item on the agenda is the City Council. It's also, at this point, level funded. Do I get a motion to approve? Motion by Councilor Devine. On the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Now I'll go to, and I'm still in the Finance Committee, 2024-055, the ordinance amending Municipal Code 72, Article 1, Job Classification Salary, Section 72-1, Official Salary Schedule for the Mayor. Chair recognizes Mr. Walker.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think we would leave it to the body to deliberate. We presented the number, the salary for the position of the mayor at the last meeting, explaining a number of different reasons why, again, below the recommendation of the outside consulting firm, the number of $285,000 a year. Again, going down a bunch of different, a litany of reasons. We find the number to be fair, reasonable, in line with a number of other communities, if not today, then within the next year or two. We don't do this often. In fact, we do this once every 10 years or so. And that's another testament to the fact that we're approaching this as the position, again, to put it in a place where people are not inhibited by the salary, that they cannot do these types of jobs. This job, as everyone in this body knows, it's a 24/7 job. There's no vacation time, there's no sick time. The mayor is the mayor. And this position, in line, as the consultant's report suggested, in line with positions of a like experience, like responsibility, was much greater than what is before this body. But again, I just want to reiterate that this is about the position. And this is about, we don't do this very often. We do it once every 10 years, and perhaps we should do it a little bit more often, but we don't. So that's where we are tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Before I open it up, I'd like to also make a couple of comments. I did a lot of digging into this. I knew this was a big item. And I give out a package to the councilors, which is mostly the compensation book, some of the facts and figures around Massachusetts in regards to comparisons that I hope folks can look at. And a couple of points to be made. And I'm not picking on any communities. They're just as busy as Quincy is. But, one of the communities, and a lot of the communities that I look at in regards to like a Belmont and a Lowell, that are making $220, $235, with populations of, Belmont has 26,000 people. That's Ward 1 and Ward 2 here in Quincy combined. I look at, people get wrapped up into titles. I don't think a title matters. You're paying a person to do the job, to run the town, the city, the corporation, whatever you want to call it. And some of these salaries were staggering in regards to the size of the community and the amount of money. Also, to point out, and I don't know if everybody got to look through it, everybody has a deputy city manager. Everybody has an assistant town administrator. This is a single executive position. Everybody has the Chris Walkers and the Al Graziosos of the world and all these other towns. They all have that same type of organization. But this is a single mayor, single executive position. There's no deputy mayor. It's an individual executive position. So when you start to put together an assistant town manager and a town manager, and let's say Holbrook, you're up to $270,000. For 16,000 people, 11,000 people. So we keep going. Whoever keeps talking, please stop with the comments and let me finish. And we're not going to have any talking out of the audience. I asked right at the beginning for respect and to keep the issues between us here, so I don't want to hear any more comments. So I look at these things like Plymouth. I look at places that are getting paid $252. I look at Cambridge, which has a city manager, an assistant city manager, and a mayor. There's 3 people, it's over $700,000 in Cambridge. I could go on and on and on. But the position here at $150,000 is grossly underpaid. And I came from the private sector after 40 years, and I've been around for 20 years now. And I could never understand how the boss of what I consider the company here, Quincy, is getting out-salaried by the majority of his employees. And he's out 24/7, 7 days a week. He or she, doesn't matter who it is, that position in Quincy works. And that's why we have such a great city. You look around. I know a lot of people here made comments tonight to the department heads that they've done a great job. But that's why you see what you have. That's why the budgets are strong. So the same goes for me when we get to talk about the council, but I dug into this as hard as I could to try to come up with a good analysis, and I have to agree with Mr. Walker that the number is a solid number for a guy who runs right now a $500 million budget. It's a $500 million budget for one guy to make a lot of the calls here in Quincy, and he makes a lot of the calls. People will say, well, town manager's different, city manager different. They all put the pants on the same way. They all come out and work. That salary's a salary. So I just wanted to express that a little bit. I've heard a lot of people say they don't like it. I've heard a lot of people say they like it. It's way overdue. But I'll open it up to the councilors now for conversation. Comments? Nope.
Motion to approve, but on the motion, I'd like to speak.
All right, motion by Councilor Harris to approve.
Thank you. So obviously, this is one of the items that have, I saw it on the news before I came here this evening. It's a story. The story started out a few weeks ago at $370,000. And it's very much reduced since then. And I want to reiterate most of what Dave had said this evening. I got into this politics stuff 8 years ago, and I really didn't realize that, we actually got paid. To be honest with you, I thought, as a city councilor, I never even thought about the money. So after working with the mayor, many things that are going on, and like, for instance, in Ward 6, there's so many improvements since I took over, and it's because, and it's happened in every other ward too. And it's because, not because of the person, but the person in the position that was there. If we have the wrong person in the position, not getting the money that is equal to the job, and anybody who doesn't think 365 days a year, 24 hours a day is not worth it, well, you know, that's only because you have to live. Like us here, the folks that are on this council, we get calls and emails throughout the night, middle of the night. Sometimes I wake up when I can't sleep and I look at my emails on my phone, and you know, things need to be done, and if you don't have the right person there, they won't get done. And the job has to equal the pay. But that being said, I'm not really should talk about the council salaries, but I will not be voting on my raise, on a raise to the city council. If you take 9 councilors at the $17,500, it comes out to somewhere around $157,000. And I don't think we should take it, but that's my opinion. I hope I didn't make enemies with my co-councilors, but that $157,000 will very much offset what we are presenting, and that's what I'll stand by. So that being said, I've already given the motion to approve.
Motion by Councilor Harris. On the motion, Councilor Yang, then Councilor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, sort of continue, Councilor Harris, what you're talking about, because I think it's an important thing to be honest about, and I appreciate that you're being honest and talking about this other side of it, right? The work that we do. And you're absolutely right. We don't do this for the money, right? To your point, when you're like, oh, I didn't know we even got paid. Like, we're here because we wanted to do something for the community. And so I appreciate that you're bringing up, I think, something that's important to talk about. I just want to say, generally speaking, this isn't to you now, it's sort of, a more general comment, that as far as this item goes, I think it's important to think about the process. And that's it, right? I'm concerned that the conversation, sort of generally and in the media, right, and even one-on-one conversations that I've had with folks, it's been about the person. And that bothers me, because I look at this and I think, what are we setting up for the future, right? What have folks set up so that when we came into office, we had to deal with or, walk into, right? And it's not about us at the end of the day. Like, we might not be here next year. We might be here for the next 10 years. Who knows? But at the end of the day, eventually, we will all not be here, right? So I've said this, a lot in the beginning of this term and even last year, our job is to set up processes, not about the person, but about the system, to ensure that the system works. And so I wanted to say, when it comes to this, I would have liked to see the conversation be directed more about what process are we setting up so that we don't have to have this conversation another 15 years from now. Let's fix the problem. If we're going to look at this problem and fix it today, let's make sure then we're talking about that and we're talking about the process. If we're setting this up to say we're making up for the last 17 years of mistakes, fine. Then let's talk about how we're fixing it moving forward, right? I understand from, the information that was presented to us and the studies that were done, that process now and how we got to this number, but the focus has been solely on that number, and I think that's really disappointing. We're missing an opportunity here to collectively say, what systems are we setting up for the future success of this city when we're not here, when it's not about us as individuals? And I will just say, that leads me to another thought that no one has talked about, and I think it's important to mention, especially as the only woman up here and the only woman of color up here, that there's a lot of talk about equity and DEI and access and representation and all of that. Well, let me tell you, a lot of the conversation that happens around that is people saying, well, the system is set up to keep people like me out. Why? Because typically speaking, right, government and the way that it's compensated is set up for access for people who have wealth and access to wealth and cannot work so that they can then full-time campaign to get into office, right? They're not single mothers who have to worry about paying for childcare because they can just go off and run for office, right? So a lot of the conversation then is also, how do we make access more equitable? We make sure that that single mother can afford a job
that she can go into to be the mayor of a city and still pay $30,000 a year for childcare, right? And that's what this is about. And no one's talking about actual systemic change that's happening with this. It's not about the person in the office. It's about looking at the salary and thinking to myself, as a single woman, right, coming from, an immigrant community, right, and having access to conversations with folks from other marginalized communities who don't have access to wealth and therefore are suppressed constantly, hundreds of years, right, because of the money. I mean, do you know how many conversations, have you had any conversations with people who should be in these positions, but they say simply, I can't afford to. I can't because I have to take care of my elderly parents, because I had to take care of family members, because growing up, we didn't understand retirement, because growing up, we didn't have access to generational wealth. And those are the communities that are constantly underrepresented. And no one here is talking about this being putting your money where your mouth is. We need to change how people are getting access. And this is one important piece of it that has been an ongoing conversation about access and DEI and equity. And then now the opportunity is here to look and say, I mean, Mr. Chairman, you're right when you said man or woman, right? Whoever is in that next position, let's make sure it's somebody who comes from a community, right, that represents this community and not have money be the reason they're walking away from serving their community, right? We all up here, including the mayor and everyone else in an elected office across this state, right, across the city, we're all here because we are lucky enough to have the financial stability to work 2 jobs to do this. And again, Councilor Harris, we're not complaining. We're not saying, oh, I wish I had more money so I could do this job full time. We're already doing this full time, and I love it. And I'm not trying to say, woe is me. I'm really not. I'm just saying that there is another really big, important piece to this that no one is talking about. You might have the want and the desire to do this, and money should not be the reason why I can't serve my community. And that's not just here in the city. And I think it's really important to set the standard so that moving forward, if there is another woman and then another woman of color and somebody who is looking and saying, I want to serve my community, and that I could take a better paying job somewhere else, so I can't do that, right? I can't give back to my community. Let's take that out of the equation. Let's actually make systemic change to something that has been keeping a community down. And I think this is, while we went about it, I think, in a way that should have been done better. It should have been about process and not the person. I think it's an important step. And I think the end result is, again, changing a system that has been broken for a long time. And so I want to thank you for the opportunity to say that. I think it was important to call out. And I hope that moving forward, we focus more on the process and the legacy we're leaving behind for process and not talk about the person. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to be gone at some point. So what systems are we setting up in place for success for the future of the city? And we need to remember that, and we need to focus on that and do a better job focusing on that moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Campbell?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and unfortunately, Councilor Yang stole every single point that I was going to make, pretty close. But I do have, she read my notes, yeah. I really do believe this is about process, and I believe that the process is put in place because I think mainly in pragmatic terms, in that, what are we talking about here? And after 10 years, I think that, 10 years back and 10 years forward is what we're talking about. And I think that the position we're in right now is that, in pragmatic terms, that the salary adjustment, I think that is out there is something that we're striving for. And I think that, what is enough and what is too much is the natural, I think, progression of thoughts that you might have there. But I think that, for us to put things in place, I think there needs to be an important step that takes place. And I think the Dormanson report was really important and is a perfect no. And I don't think that it's something that was expected to be perfect, but I think that it was a good starting point. And I think that that's where the discussion should go and how it should continue on. And I think that's why tonight's important that we're having this discussion. I learned very quickly here that this is a very hard job, what you're doing here. And I say that, and with the same as Councilor Yang, I love it. I love every second of it. And the fact that there is a pay that it's attached to this as a counselor and how we do our jobs every day, I think that we're very lucky to have that opportunity. As far as the position itself for the mayor, I think that the discussion needs to be about the mayor's position. And if we go back to the pragmatic terms, the pragmatic term that I'm looking at is that the position itself calls for an adjustment. And I think today's term, today's number may not make sense. But in 10 years from now, I think that we are looking at a salary that will be adjusted throughout, that would make sense in the long run for the person that we hope to continue on the legacy of what's being created here. I think that the complicated nature of this city continues to grow and continues to build, and we continue to do all these amazing things. I think that we need to make sure that the person that is coming in next is prepared and ready and knows that for those that might not go for a position like this, given its current salary, maybe if we adjust it in a way that we can adjust or bring interest to this position further down the road, I think that's an important piece to it. And I think that for all of that, I think that a process was followed, and I'm satisfied at what I've read, and I look forward to continuing discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Mitten.
Thank you. I gave a lot of thought about this. I had to put it down into paper because there were so many concerns. I'm one of the new councilors here, 6 months on the job, so I haven't had any experience with pay raises for the mayor or city council members. It appears that it was 9+ years since the last raises, so I'm not alone. The first thought comes to me is, why didn't those affected ask for a raise during this time? My personal conclusion, not one of my colleagues on this council does this job for the money. It's a dedication and commitment to the city. It's a job that most don't want, and it's a trend. The last election, some councilors ran unopposed. Me. There was a community nearby who advertised to get residents to run for various positions. That's how bad it is. There has to be a better way. We have to come up with a system. For the mayor's salary, many people have reached out to me via email as well as in person, and were very troubled by the Dormanson study, and for the mayor to receive a salary in the area of $300,000. They cited many reasons. I did not come across anyone who supported this jump in pay. It is my belief that this study did not directly relate to Quincy. For me, comparisons to other cities and towns didn't carry much weight, especially the exorbitant salaries. It did not address the socioeconomics, the success and failures, and other factors for the basis of salary. Any private sector comparisons were irrelevant. For this reason, I disregarded the Dormanson study. On the flip side, some people commented in person and online that the mayor does not have a college education. Again, that's irrelevant. I think that Mayor Cook has proven himself by rising through the ranks from the park department to former Mayor Sheets' chief of staff to long-term mayor. The Dormanson study did not help the mayor. It possibly made people turn against him and forget what he's done for the city since his high school days. Again, I disregard the education component as irrelevant. Having said this, the amount of $287,000 for the mayor's salary and $47,000 for city council are being proposed. I believe that both of these are on the high side. There has to be a better way to look at raises in the future than every 9 years. My recommendation for the mayor is $230,000, and for city councilors, $38,000. Thank you.
Councilor Ash?
For you, Mr. Chair, thank you. I, as the rest of my colleagues sitting here, have received a lot of emails, calls, and texts. I reviewed each of those carefully, have responded to every Ward 2 constituent that reached out to me, so if for some reason somebody thinks that's false, please grab me at the end of this. Many of those communications actually supported the raise, and I'll get to the bottom line and the constants that I found in all these interactions. Many of those communications supported the raise. However, given the press and the news coverage, people here, the opposition seems to be louder. I've met with many people, conducted my own independent research, and I would very much appreciate if everyone here knew that. With a population of 102,000, Quincy is the 7th largest city in the state. The city has $1.3 billion in assets. The mayor oversees a $424 million budget, 1,800 city employees, not including the school system nor the college. And in the private sector, a CEO of this company would see a higher salary. The mayor does not work a 9-to-5 job, which we have covered. And many municipalities in Massachusetts do not have a mayor, city council government. Instead, they have multiple town managers, deputy town managers, and in some municipalities, those offices can near almost $600,000, which I believe was the city of Chelsea. Now, $285,000 is cause for pause, and certainly a reason for us to do our due diligence. So if we back it up a bit, and really what I found in the dozens of conversations, phone calls, emails, in-person meetings, I phoned a friend, and I want everyone here to know that. But what I found is that supporters think it's fine. And those individuals who didn't support the mayor in the last election don't think that any raise should be given or think a nominal raise should be given. And I think it is imperative to back that all the way up and to value this position at a number that is commensurate with the size of this city, the budget, the operations, and the experience. And so that is what I have decided to do. I will say, alongside my colleague, Councilwoman Nina Liang, I am also disappointed in the process. I would like to see something put in place where there is an incremental raise per year so that we're not revisiting this in 10 years, wondering what happened to the last 10 years and trying to exponentiate COLA raises. That's not why I'm sitting here, and I don't think that we should be in the position to do that. I will also say that I'm not likely to approve or vote in favor of a raise for this position for at least, I would say at least 5 years, but probably more than that. So without something in place where we can contract out or charter out an increase per year, that would make me feel a lot better. That would have saved everybody up here a lot more time and certainly a lot more cover, if you will. So that is my 2 cents. I did find a direct correlation between supporters and being in support of the raise, and those that are not supporters not being in support of any raise. So I decided to take, put it in my own lens and really look at what the position I think should be valued at. 285 certainly is cause for pause, and now I don't know if I would propose a different number, but we're here to vote on an ordinance, so you have to wager at that point. So thank you very much.
Councilor Devine?
You must have some really good glasses over there, Councilor Ash, because a few of those things you said are almost exactly what I was thinking. And I 100% agree that since this came out, I've been meeting with people, and it's when you let something fester, it becomes a problem, and leaving it for 10 years, that's what happens, and you should never let anything fester. And so I think we're all talking the same way. But at the time right now, we do need to do something so that then we can move forward. I also have been speaking with a lot of my constituents, and some are very outraged, and some would also, like Councilor Ash said, they want no raise, or they said we can give a small percentage for this year. I'm like, well, there's 9 years that there was no compensation. I'd like to be fair. I always try and see every side. I look from every angle to make sure that I didn't miss something. These numbers work. I know they seem exorbitant, but we're one of the largest cities in the state, And I don't think, I hope that nobody argues with me on this, but we're the best one in the state. And we're doing phenomenal. There's cities around us that are having issues. They're losing fire department members. They're losing teachers. They can't keep their equipment running. This isn't an accident. Quincy isn't just bigger and better. We're better because we've been working on this for a very, very long time. Not me personally. I've only just got here a year and a half ago. But I've learned that there is a huge passion with every single employee person here. There's an underlying group of people that just have a huge love for Quincy, and they're the silent majority. And while I've been talking to all these people, almost all of them say they're fine with this raise, maybe a little bit high, but not enough to say that it's an issue. And so going forward, last year, we gave raises to make sure that we secured people. We lost a tree warden a couple of years ago because we didn't properly pay them. I don't want to find out that when we need a new mayor, we don't get a good mayor because we're just trying to offer a small amount of money. We need to pay a proper rate to get somebody in here that can make sure that Quincy keeps going the way it's going. When I lived in Situate, someone once asked me if I would ever live in Quincy. When I was younger, I would have said no. Now, this is the only place I want to live. I love this town. We're doing phenomenal, and we have a lot of great people here, and I want to see it keep going forward. So with that being said, I am support for this pay raise.
Okay, so we'll go all the way back to the motion by Councilor Harris. This is an ordinance change, so I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Jen, could you call a roll on this item?
Counselor Ash. Yes. Counselor King. Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor Mitten.
No.
Chairman McCarthy.
Yes,
7 members.
thank you. Now, this also will be voted on in the budget, on the whole budget. You'll roll into the budget in 2 weeks as an item to the budget scene that got approved in finance. So with that, I'm going to close the Finance Committee meeting at 8:30. And we're going to go back to the City Council meeting. Open up the City Council meeting again at 8:33. Communication reports from the mayor and other city officers and boards.
Communications.
You got a few?
Yes, I do. I
Madam
do,
Clerk.
thank you. I do have some traffic requests to refer to the Ordinance Committee for Advertising, Ward 1, Councilor McCarthy. Add handicap parking to 1 Seville Ave, add handicap parking to 26 Winthrop Street, add 2-hour parking to the odd-numbered side of Woodward Ave, Huntley Road, and Russell Park. Ward 2, Councilor Ash, add no parking to Curtis Ave, Hannah Street, and Washington Court, odd side, add no parking to Curtis Ave, Baxter Ave, and Hannon Street, even side, add no parking to Phipps Street, 143 Phipps to Faxon Park Road, odd side. Ward 3, Councilor Kane, remove handicap parking at 30 Ardell Street. Ward 5, Councilor Mitten, add handicap parking to 76 President's Lane, add stop sign to Sims Road at Fenno Street, add stop sign to Perry Road at Fenno Street, add no parking sign to Sachem Street, Quincy Shore Drive, 67 feet west of Quincy Shore Drive. With that, I also have a utility to refer to Public Works Committee for scheduling and advertising, grant a location, Mass Electric Verizon, 108 Franklin Street. Thank you.
So can we get a motion to refer that to ordinance? Motion by Councilor DeBona.
Refer to ordinance, please.
Second by Councilor Devine. All those in favor? Aye. You also going to move that?
Yes, the
Also need a
utility.
motion to refer that utility request to Public Works.
I'd like to make a motion to make that, put it into Public Works.
Motion made by Councilor DeBona, second by Councilor Devine. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, unfinished business and preceding meeting. Nothing there. Reports of committees. Nothing there. Presentation of petition, memorials, remonstrances.
Are you going to report on any committees right now? Council? I mean,
No. Been a long night. Counselor Devine?
Earlier on Saturday, I had the pleasure to go to the police memorial, and there will be a fireman's memorial also. Is it Sunday or Sunday? And while I was there, I realized that a constituent had passed away, and he was a retired Quincy police, Mr. Peter Musillo. He was 100 years old last year, and I was lucky enough to meet him in his kitchen. A nice guy, and we talked about a few things. He was a World War II U.S. Army veteran. He had been in Normandy, northern France, the Ardennes. He was a police officer from 1960 to 1981. After that, he also did public service with the city. He passed away peacefully last April on the 23rd. I just wanted to say his family was there to put a wreath up for him, and they were very proud of him. And I just wanted to make mention that we lost a great person, and he deserves some recognition from the city, just to say thank you for your service in Quincy Police and the United States Army. And our thoughts and prayers are with the Musillo family. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Counselor Ash.
I'd like to send condolences to the Bagan family, the patriarch of the Bagan family, a very large Quincy Point family who are near and dear to my heart. John Bagan, age 93, formerly of Weymouth, but as I said, long time in the Point, passed away Friday, May 17th. Mr. Bagan was a mainstay at the YMCA and at the Sons of Italy. He was the beloved husband of 73 years of Phyllis Bagan. They celebrated their 73rd wedding anniversary in March. Devoted father of John Bagan and his wife Linda, Richard Bagan and his wife Kathleen, Patricia Finocchio and her husband Nicholas, Lisa Sears and her husband Donald, and the late Gregory Bagan, loving grandfather of 17, great-grandfather of 20, and great-great-grandfather of 1. Again, the services were this past week, and I want to make note of that incredible family and their incredible loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Minton?
Just kind of adding what you were talking about with illnesses and deaths. One of our retired officers, Paul Murphy, is very sick. There's a fundraiser for him at Alba Sunday, 12 to 5. You could use it. Thank you.
Counselor DeWarno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want a heavy heart with Catherine Bowes. She lived up on Wollaston Hill, and I remember walking when I first got elected, even to the school committee and the council, that I would knock on her door. And she was a very pleasant woman, and I hadn't seen her for a few years, and I saw her in obituaries, but she was very influential for me. She was very involved with the sports, the Babe Ruth World Series. She was a great track star herself from Dartmouth High School. And talking about deaths and everything, you look in the obituaries and you have these relationships with people, and she was one of them. You just have that relationship. I'm sitting on her porch and talking to her about things, and I want, and just seeing them as obituaries is a heavy heart, and it's something we get adjusted to over time. But to see her, I just want to say my condolences to her entire family. I hadn't seen her for just a long time, and then just to see her pop up on the obituaries is tough. But I know Councilor Kane is not here tonight in Ward 3, but she was very influential in the city of Quincy and what she's done. I remember she was with Wollaston PTO in my early days, and so I just want to send my condolences to the Bowes family. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
I also got another one, a Dolores Kakanen. She's the mother of Doug Kakanen down the Howes Neck. and unfortunately, she's just passed away. She had a place in her heart for veterans. She was the Ladies Auxiliary VFW member and member of the Moose Lodge. She had humor and dignity and kindness. So my condolences to the Concannon family, represented in Ward 1, Dave McCarthy's area. But you look in the obituaries and you have these relationships with these people, and over the years, and it just piles up. So I just want to say my condolences to the entire Concannon family. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Chair recognizes Counselor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very special person from my old neighborhood was laid to rest today, Mr. Paul Smith. He was like a second father to me, and I think to many, many people in the neighborhood. I know Councilor McCarthy grew up with his son. Gary Smith is actually Deputy Fire Chief for the city of Quincy. Mr. Smith was a veteran of the Korean War. He was a U.S. Marine, married to his wife, Barbara Calderara. They had 3 kids, Sharon, Paul, and Gary, and they were just a phenomenal family. They lived 3 doors down from us, and every Sunday, or actually every day of the summer, we would be in their backyard swimming in the pool, and they were incredibly kind and good people. And like I said, he was like another dad to me, and someone that I will always have looked up to, and I'm just glad that I grew up in the neighborhood I grew up with, where we were able to turn to gentlemen like that and look to them as role models. And sadly, he passed at 88 years old, and ironically, he lived 3 doors down from me, and he died a year to the day that my father passed away. So it was like a neighborhood reunion up there, I think, with all the moms and dads. So great man, and wish him all the best, the whole family. So thank you.
Yeah, great guy. Thank you, Counselor. Next item, motions, orders, and resolutions. Seeing none. Scheduling committee meetings and public hearings. We have Monday, June 17th left at 6:30 here in the City Council, where we'll tie everything up in a knot budget-wise, and that'll be it for the session. June 17th at 6:30. With that, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you.